Hello, and a warm welcome to the first episode of the Chalked Up Patterns podcast. My name's Amy, and you can find me on Instagram at Chalked Up Patterns. This isn't the first video that I've actually made for this YouTube channel. The first one was more of a kind of week in the life of vlog. So that was filmed back in April, when I was kind of just sort of finding my feet with being a freelancer, being someone who's self-employed. So quite a lot has changed since then. But the idea behind this podcast, or this series of podcast episodes, is more about knitting primarily. But I am originally a sewer, and I think I'm very close to falling down the rabbit hole of spinning and natural dyeing. So it'll probably be more of a kind of a mishmash of whatever kind of crafty projects that I'm working on at the time. So I've been a knitter seriously for probably like the last year. I've knitted on and off for most of my life, but primarily just kind of very simple hats and scarves and things like that. A lot of gift knitting, around Christmas time and stuff. But yeah, sort of, I guess in the last year, I've stumbled upon the online knitting community, and I think it's just filled me with inspiration, basically. And yeah, I think I've found more joy in knitting than I have in sewing, in the last year. I don't know whether it's sort of, my relationship with my sewing kind of got a little bit weird when I got obsessed with fitting things, and it basically meant that every sewing project that I tried to undertake became huge, because I would just sort of, I would try making something and then I'd be like, but it doesn't fit, and then I would try and understand why and try and fix it, and then I couldn't, and yeah, it kind of all got quite overwhelming and quite big. Whereas then when I sort of, picked up the needles again with knitting, it's sort of, I don't know, it feels like it's quite easy to make projects that fit. Although I've just realised the irony I'm about to say, it's easy to make knitting projects that don't require close fitting. And then I've just realised that today I'm going to talk to you about my 6-month project of trying to get the perfect fitting socks. So yeah, okay, it's the same issue. But I don't know, maybe it's the difference of, the style that I would sew, is I would take like a whole day about it, and I would just go all in, forget about food, and I would just sew for like 6-8 hours. And kind of, it was quite a slog. Whereas with the knitting, I guess my attitude's been more kind of like slow and steady. It's sort of, I knit a lot in the evenings, or first thing in the morning. And I don't know, I guess it's sort of then it's the moments where you're trying to then sort of work really hard to figure something out are very few and far between. I'm really crap with phrases. So it's sort of, you actually get more time crafting in that kind of like pure joy, like that sort of meditative act, which I think I lost with the sewing. I think that's why I've sort of fully embraced knitting. So when I say that I found the online knitting community, what I actually mean is I found Melody Hoffmann's videos, which is, her podcast is Mandarins. I'll put a link. And I just immediately fell in love with those videos. It's sort of, I mean, if you haven't checked out her videos, then you need to. They're just the way that she's filmed them, the way that she puts it together, you watch it and you just instantly go, it's just amazing. So I kind of went from her to then somehow finding Fibre Tales podcast, which had that same kind of sort of very slow, mindful living kind of feel to it. And then I think it was Emma Robinson's podcast, Woolly Mammoth Fibres. And again, like, everyone's got a different style, but they all kind of gave me the same feeling. Like, it was just this kind of just really calming, relaxing, but kind of, I don't know, I think it's the way that you then connect with the people. And I suppose, yeah, this is sort of, I guess, why we're all kind of involved, you know, either, you know, producing or watching these knitting podcasts, you know, is we sort of all appreciate that connection that you make with people, or that you feel like you make with people. I don't know, it's so weird. I say to my partner Matt, it's just like, you know, I sort of refer to all these people as if they're my friends, even though I'm the worst for never leaving comments on videos and stuff like that. So I feel like I'm like one of those really crap friends. But yeah, like, it just sort of, I get so excited about when they release a new video and sort of, you know, things that happen in their life. Yeah, like, it's happened with other genres as well. Like, there's sort of a sort of more nature walking channel that I subscribe to called Athena Mella, and like, when she announced that she was having a baby, like, I cried. Like, so I don't know, please tell me I'm not the only one who kind of has these weird relationships with people on the internet. I digress. So no, I think I just wanted to kind of explain a little bit about why I'm creating this new podcast, what it means to me, because I guess it's not just about kind of like, oh, here's this thing that I've made, or what I'm working on, and kind of like a really sort of like I don't know, just sort of very zoomed in on those things. Like, I think there's sort of, I don't know, I guess there's something more that we get from podcasts, this type of podcast. So yeah, that's the driving force. This tea is really good, by the way. So yeah, I'm planning on following the kind of standard knitting podcast agenda. So sort of, yeah, finished objects, work in progress, plans, and then yeah, just sprinkle in a little bit of life stuff. I live in the Peak District in the UK, so I'm very fortunate to kind of have beautiful walks right on the doorstep. So yeah, I might sort of, well, I will. I've filmed a walk for you. So yeah, I'll kind of give you little glimpses of that as well, which I think, yeah, again, I was thinking like, why do I want to do that? And I think it's sort of, for me, it's sort of, I don't know, they're reminders to kind of go out there and sort of find the beauty in the nature around us. I think, at least that's what the Heather and Hops podcast, like, that's definitely kind of what I get from her. You know, she sort of always has these clips at the end of her videos that are kind of yeah, kind of her and Alex, you know, go for a walk, and we go and look at some mushrooms, and it just sort of, yeah, it makes me want to then go out and look for mushrooms and kind of, yeah, slow down, look around me and things like that. As well as also, I just think it's interesting to see different parts of the world. You know, I sort of, yeah, I think it's really nice to be able to kind of, when you're sort of watching videos from people living a million miles away from you, you know, you kind of get to see what it's like around there. So yeah, so I can show you what the Peak District is like. I've got a fly buzzing around, and I'm really worried about the audio quality and whether that's going to be picked up. He's been living in this room for quite a few days now, and I've not managed to get him out. So yeah, I think the only last thing before I kind of dive into actual project stuff. Sorry, I'm looking down because I've made notes. I was about to say I can't turn up to a meeting without making notes and having an agenda, but this isn't a meeting. Although I have been known to to make an agenda for like a phone call with a friend. So I guess this isn't anything new or different. This is just, normal. So I want to talk about what I'm wearing. So I didn't make this jumper, but I have done stuff to it, hopefully good stuff to it. So this jumper is actually my partner's. It's Rapa Nui is the brand. He's had this jumper for ages. It's a lamb's wool, so it's really quite fine, which I think is why it's sort of quite prone to getting holes in it, because it's just super fine. He stopped wearing it because he put holes in it. So then as a Christmas present, I patched up one of these elbows, that one I think, and then tried to give it back to him, but then just sort of started wearing it. It's kind of now just become my jumper. He's got other jumpers he can wear, whereas I think I didn't have any woolly jumpers. I now have one, which is there, which I'm going to talk about soon. So it was like, I needed a jumper, didn't I? So he needed to share. So I'd done some visible mending on this, so I don't know. I think, that was the first one that I did. Actually, I can see it might go through here now. This was some leftover yarn from a hat that I made Matt, and I was quite pleased with how the colours kind of, I don't know, I think this is my kind of visible mending where it's like very complementary rather than kind of, I don't know, some crazy colours. So I fixed it once, did this patch and maybe some of the other holes that you can kind of see, and then it needed a second go. The bits that I did first have kind of felted in the wash, so that's quite good because I think that's just going to give it a bit more, make it a bit more robust. Whereas you can kind of see here, this is a new repair, which hasn't been felted yet, hasn't been washed, and the same there, nice big patch. I really like this jumper. And then that's paired with, I'll take some photos, take a video of my complete outfit. On the bottom I'm wearing a pair of dungarees called the Burnside Bibs by Soho 7. I don't wear these that often. It's sort of, well, you'll kind of see from the videos there, it's made out of quite a light sort of lightweight linen, creamy beigey linen, so it's like the least practical colour to wear, especially when I spend a lot of time outside, it's kind of like, you can't sit on anything and stuff like that, and also because of the weight of the linen, I feel like the bum is quite saggy. Like, it's fine when it's just been washed, but then sort of that thing that linen does where it kind of just like gets quite baggy as you wear it throughout the day, kind of then just means that you've got like a really saggy bum, and I don't really like that look. I don't wear these enough. I do love the pattern though. I love the kind of the shape of the bib and stuff like that. So I do want to make another pair, but I just need to think a bit more carefully about what fabric I use for them. So that's what I'm wearing. I think it's time we crack on and actually talk about some knitting, isn't it? Right, finished object that I'm going to talk about is my Forager jumper, or sweater, I don't know, by Melody Hoffmann. So let me just go grab that. Oh my god, okay, this thing is just the most squishy delightfulness ever. Okay, so this is first success at making a jumper, knitting a jumper. So I had previously attempted to make one of the wool and the gown kits. oh God, I should have looked up what name it was. Okay, it was actually We Are Knitters, not Wool and the Gang. Oops. So it was the Gamma sweater, which is kind of, well, I don't know if all their projects are seamed, but yeah, it was a seamed panel-y, knit back and forth job, and I didn't like it at all. I didn't like making it. I didn't like seaming these panels together. I felt like it was a real botch job, which I probably shouldn't actually blame the pattern for that. I should just blame the fact that I didn't go and learn how to seam. I just kind of, thought, I'll just, do this. So yeah, I was disappointed with that. Disappointed in the fit. I think it ended up just being huge. Again, probably my fault. At that time, I didn't really know anything about gauge swatching, or just gauge at all. So yeah, God knows how I sort of decided what size to make and all the rest of it. So yeah, it was big, it was huge, didn't like the style. Very heavy. I think it was a cotton. So yeah, just insanely heavy for what it was. So I ripped it back and then tried to find a new pattern to follow. But yeah, again, gauge. You'd be pleased to know I actually did do gauge swatches for this, so I learnt my lesson. So I picked some other pattern. Again, can't remember. We'll talk about this properly another time, as maybe, because I've knitted this pattern up, but because the gauge was off and I didn't understand what that meant, the raglan decreases are just like, they just don't fit at all. So you kind of end up with this jumper that's kind of like this. And as I say, I didn't know how to fix it at the time, so that project's just been sat in the naughty corner for probably a year. But yeah, we should go back to that at some point. But anyway, so this is why I say that this is my first successful knitted jumper, because it looks like a jumper and it actually fits and it functions like a jumper. So yeah, pretty good. So as I say, I think I learnt my lesson for that previous attempt. And so this time when I wanted to make a jumper, I thought I'll go for a kind of, well, I knew I didn't want to go, that was the other thing, is I was quite disappointed in the instructions with the We Are Knitters stuff. It kind of, just felt like, just knit some rectangles and, don't know, just a bit. Anyway, so I thought I'll go for a more kind of, I don't know, it's hard, isn't it? I think it's very hard to vet the pattern designer before you actually try it for yourself. I guess you're only really going on recommendations from other people. But anyway, obviously I'd been following along with Melody Hoffmann and kind of seen her designs and thought they were beautiful, and kind of thought, well, a lot of people knitting her stuff, so let's give her pattern a go. I also thought I would go for the recommended yarn. I thought, well, that's going to make life so much easier if I actually use the yarn I'm supposed to be using. So the Forager is made out of one strand of Plotulopi. My Swedish friend's going to hate me for how badly I'm pronouncing this. So I always want to say Plutolopi, but it's not spelled like that. So anyway, here is a cake, in case you've not seen it. It's an Icelandic unspun yarn. It's amazing. It smells like sheep. I feel like people on podcasts always have to smell the wool, don't they? So yeah, this is very sheepy, very rustic, beautifulness, and that's held one strand of Plotulopi and one strand of mohair. So I got the kids drops kid silk. In terms of colours, I spent a long time stalking people's projects on Ravelry to try and see which shades they'd used together, because it's sort of, I don't know, there was a certain look that I was going for, and sort of the way that when you hold these two together you kind of get a slight mild effect. So I guess I can sort of show you what I've got. I'd say that's probably quite true to colour. I mean, the colour's jumping a lot, isn't it? But yeah, I kind of, looked at everybody else's, and especially it's sort of, like with the colour of my hair and skin tone and stuff. I just kind of wanted something that would suit me. And I think what I've ended up with is like a really classic jumper that's kind of just going to go with everything. So I'm really pleased with the colours that I chose. And the other thing was that I'd been almost like kind of avoiding knitting another jumper because I just, every time I'd looked up how much yarn I was going to need, I was like, at like the cost of the yarn, because it was, I think I'd been looking at things where it would then be like £70 or £80 worth of yarn for a jumper, and I was like, I just don't know if I could do that. And then I think I was checking this one out, and I think it was around like £30, give or take. And also I can't remember, I'm not sure how much I, overbought kind of thing, but this is what I've ended up like left over with, which is pretty good. I'll create like a Ravelry project and properly detail like the numbers and stuff if anyone's interested. So I thought, no, £30, like that's affordable, like I can do that. And especially I guess when there was a bit of a risk involved, I could knit it and I wouldn't actually know if it was going to work or if something terrible was going to happen. In terms of working with the yarns, I'll kind of just, the only sort of quirk, I guess, is with this unspun yarn is that it does like easily break. So I can just show you on here. So because this is unspun, it'll kind of just, like, I'm not using much force and it's just pulled apart. But when that happens, and it only really happened when I was like picking up my project and moving it around, and you sort of wouldn't realise it was getting stuck on something. But when that happens, it's really easy to kind of just take the two ends and kind of like felt it together, kind of a bit of that, and then you just knit it, carry on using it and just be careful and it's fine. So the mohair is what gives it the strength, basically, to not then just break. I think the only other thing that was then a bit of a like, about using it was just the fact that it doesn't rip back very well. So when you inevitably make a mistake and you want to frog your work, because it's just so toothy, isn't it? When you try and then pull it apart, it's all getting stuck on itself and stuff like that. So, but I think I had heard somebody on a podcast warn us about that, so I was like, okay, we need to pay attention and try not make mistakes. So talking about mistakes, the only kind of major thing that I kind of messed up on was when I knit the neckband, I forgot to go down a needle size. So when I did my gauge swatches, I realised that I needed to go down quite a lot, I think. Can't remember the exact numbers. I'd already gone down a needle size after doing my gauge swatch. I then just forgot to go down again when it came to knitting the neckband. So it kind of just means that I don't know if you can kind of tell from this, it's sort of a bit wider than it should be. Like, if I'd have done it on a tighter needle, then this would kind of cinch in. I guess a little bit like, this difference here. I know it's a bit different, but it's just the idea then that you're decreasing your circumference. I kind of yeah, a bit annoyed about myself about that. And I feel like it does sit kind of up a little bit, like it sort of stands up. But I thought I'll just wear it, see if it annoys me, see if it kind of changes. Actually, I haven't actually blocked this yet as well, so that might change things. But yeah, I am aware that I can probably re-knit the neckband. She says, because it was, I'm hesitant because it was obviously top down. So I started with the neckband, but I think it's possible to pick up the stitches, especially because it's kind of got this nice pearl bump detail. Maybe I can pick up those stitches, do some snipping, and then just keep going. I feel like that theory stands because of what I watched a video about an afterthought heel on a sock, and in that you're picking up stitches and then cutting and then knitting in both directions. So I feel like that means that you could knit the opposite way. But yeah, maybe somebody watching might want to school me on that. Yeah, no, I would appreciate any experiences on that. So what else have we got? Oh yeah, so I think I might have made it all a little bit short. So in the sleeves and in the body, like I was going for cropped because I just feel like it would suit things, suit me better as well. Kind of having it hit a little bit higher. But I found it very difficult. I was knitting on big circulars, so magic loop style, and whenever I would try it on, I found it really difficult to know like where it was sitting, like really sitting. I think because there's not a lot of drape to this, like it kind of just it just sort of is. I think it always kind of just felt like it was just sort of like sitting like this, and then you've got that slight weight of the needles. I don't know whether it kind of, when you sort of, and it's a bit curled as well, when you're just on the stockinette section. So I think, I kind of struggled to know when to stop knitting, and then obviously you've got the desire to just be done with a project. So I think it was an element of like wishful thinking, and kind of just hoping it was time to cast off. I was enjoying it, but like when you're just so excited to get to sort of finish a project to be able to wear it. So yeah, I think it's a little bit short, but or at least maybe it's the arms that are shorter than I would have hoped. But actually, maybe it was a good thing because I am finding the yarn slightly itchy. It's only really when I get a bit warm that I notice it. And so, but what it means is because then it's a bit shorter, it does mean that I can effectively, sort of, I can have a long sleeve top on underneath, which I kind of would anyway with this, but have that a bit longer and then the sleeve, so kind of like, imagine it like that. And then so that's not itchy around my wrist. And I guess maybe the same about the neckline, because it's not super tight. It means that it's not touching my bare neck so much. So maybe it's not. Maybe it wasn't a mistake at all. So I feel like I should probably sort of remark on the pattern instructions, kind of as a sort of first time jumper knitter, kind of I guess, would I recommend this pattern to somebody? I think I would recommend the pattern kind of in general, but not as your first jumper, I don't think, or at least not for me. So I suppose it depends on how confident you are and how kind of hand-holdy you want. I think the instructions were adequate, and I think if I understood how a top-down sweater raglan jumper is constructed, then it would be fine. But I didn't really get it, and so there is short row shaping in this, and when I tried to follow the instructions, I really messed up. I don't even know what I did wrong, but it was not good. And then I spent quite a long time trying to understand it. I ended up like having to, well, I watched a ton of YouTube videos just about short road shaping, about raglan sweaters, to kind of just, I think I'm a very like visual learner, so I kind of needed to see what I was aiming for in terms of doing this kind of backwards and forwards. I needed to see it before I could then actually implement it. And I ended up sort of having to draw myself like a really confusing diagram, but it finally clicked. But yeah, I mean, this is where it's difficult in terms of like what you expect of a pattern. And I ended up having quite a debate with my partner about this, because I think I was just being stubborn and not wanting to admit that I'd got it wrong. But I don't know, it's sort of that thing of like, what do we expect from our instructions? How much hand holding should there be? How much, sort of go away and do your own research should you be doing? So yeah, I think I'm just going to leave it there really. I personally would not recommend it as a first pattern, as a first jumper pattern. But it's lovely. It is, I love the effect that it's given, and I really like the fit on me. In terms of sort of like on the shoulders and the raglan and stuff like that. So, and all of the little details, in terms of these pearl bumps and stuff like that. And we've got the same on the hem, and I did the split hem detail. Like, so all of this is just gorgeous. And I say that I haven't blocked it. It's basically because I don't want to have to wait for it to be washed and dried, because I just want to wear it like most days. So that's a good sign, isn't it? That's how much I like it. I think the last thing to comment about it, and sort of I guess makes me then think about my next jumper, is that I'm a little bit too precious of it. I think a combination of the colour and also like how fluffy and kind of, I don't know, I think because it's unspun, I'm just so nervous of like sort of acting as if like a cat's going to come and do this on it, and there's no cats here. But like I'm too, I don't want to just throw it in a bag. I don't want to kind of go and do any kind of messy work in it, and stuff. So it's like either I need to get over it and just kind of wear it as I'd wear anything, or my next jumper needs to be, I need to perceive my next jumper as being more robust, sort of maybe darker colours, and kind of, I guess, something a bit more kind of substantial, in terms of how the yarn, how it's spun and stuff like that. But yeah, so that's my very first jumper. So I've got a few other things that I'm working on that I'll just have to show you in the next episode. There's a shawl that I'm making as a gift for a family member. So I might have it finished before I do the next video. I should have it finished soon, because I'm seeing this family member in the start of November, so it needs to be done by then. And then I've got some new yarn that I bought recently, but I mean, when I tell you about that, like that's another big story, because that was just, I found another amazing yarn shop in Wales as well, but I'll have to save that for next time. Next week is going to be quite busy, because we're moving studios. So my partner and I have been renting a sort of a bit of a warehouse studio really, in the town that we live in. We've been there since February, so 6-8 months or something, and we have decided to move to another space. We're moving in with a lady that I work for. So it's and it's also literally down the road. Like our commute is going to go from a 15-minute walk to a 1-minute walk. But I'm really excited because the space is just going to be so much nicer. There are so many windows, so I can finally find a home for all these plants. There's too many house plants. Yeah, so next week is going to be moving all of our stuff. But no, I'm excited about what that's going to open up the possibilities for. And as I said before, I really want to get into spinning and natural dyeing. So I'm sort of like waiting for the studio move to happen before I embark on that. Both for financial reasons, whilst I'm trying to save money for the deposit. But also, yeah, for space, because it would just be daft to like get a spinning wheel and then have to move it like a week later. So yeah. So that's what's coming up in the next few weeks. So yeah, I'm gonna end the chatting bit now, I think. And yeah, as I said at the start, I'm gonna end the video with a little walk that I had around Kinder Reservoir. It was one of those like gloriously sunny autumn afternoons, you know, where you just have to get out of the house. It just feels like a waste to be inside. So I went out, Matt went for a run, and I decided to just go for like, I'm calling them nature walks, where like the purpose of the walk is not to go somewhere like or for exercise, like it's just to immerse yourself in the environment. And it was really nice. Like I've not quite done it so purposefully before, but it was really nice to kind of, you know, look for those bits of beauty and, you know, sort of the challenge of trying to capture it. I'm just using my phone for all this recording so far, so it's kind of interesting to see how to do that, what looks good. So yeah, no, I hope you enjoy this little walk out, sort of walking past Kinder Reservoir up to then Williams Clough, which is kind of one of the sort of the routes then up to Kinder. But I'll show you on the map. I've got a little bit of the map so you can see where I am. I feel like that's something that like my dad would like or something. So yeah, thank you for watching. And I'm going to put links to everything and also links to everyone who's like inspired me. So the podcasts that I really enjoy and yeah, have effectively acted as inspiration for this one. I love podcast recommendations, so I feel like I should join in and kind of share my favourites. But yeah, if you liked this video, then I suppose give it a thumbs up or something. And yeah, I guess subscribe if you want to be notified, or you want to see when there's a new video. I think there'll be a new video pretty soon because, as I said, I've got a whole list of stuff that I was supposed to talk about today and we're like halfway down the list. So I think I've got enough to talk about. But yeah, until next time, stay safe, take care of yourself. I hope you get lots of crafting time and yeah, just some quiet time to yourself and some good tea as well. Alright, take care, bye.